Hey, what's going on, YouTube? It's your boy here, Manny. Once again, welcome back to DFS Zone, your source for daily fantasy sport lineup advice for the NFL, NBA, and MLB. And before I continue on with the video, like always, guys, I would appreciate a like in the video. And if it's your first time here and you have not yet subscribed, please subscribe down below. And do not forget to turn on those notifications. This way you do not miss any of my new uploads. With that being said, today is Tuesday, May 8th, 2018. We have a two-game slate today in the NBA. We have elimination games for Utah and for New Orleans. We have Utah at Houston and New Orleans at Golden State. Utah, the implied totals for that game, Houston 110.2, Utah at 97.7. Houston is pretty much a 12.5-point favorite at home. We're hoping the Utah can extend this and move this into a 6-game. It will be awesome simply because, for one, we'll get some more double two-game slates, and that gives us the opportunity, obviously, to pull in hopefully a couple more GPPs. And because I really am not a fan of that one-game, 5-player, GPP tournament. So, but we'll see what happens. Let's go over to the cruncher. I'm going to basically, sorry about that. Let's go over New Orleans. We have New Orleans at Golden State. Golden State is favored by 11.5. They'll have a 119.3 implied total. New Orleans Pelicans are 107.8. Definitely out of the two games, the game probably you want to target more is the one that's more offensively. We have this particular game has more offense going as far as scoring is concerned. At least what Vegas is predicting. They have actually been pretty close to almost every possible, a line that they have put out during the course of the playoffs. So definitely that's a game to target. But we're going to target both because there's quality players in both. I'm going to go over to the cruncher like I usually do, and I'm just going to go over all the best possible plays. You got the first guy up here at the top, man. You got Steph Curry. He has here a projection of 45 for today. He has at 9,500 at Fanduel. You're looking at about 47 for him to hit value. He hasn't quite been there consistently in his 3 games back. He's got a 42, 44, and then his last game he had a pretty much a dud game at 25. He did play 32 minutes, and the most minutes out of the 3 games. His usage rate was very high at 27%, which is excellent. He has 17 shots. He went 8 of 17 and 4 of 9. He actually shot very well. He just didn't do more of the other things. Like, he didn't get quite a bit of – he only had 1 rebound in the game and 2 assists. He definitely needs to rebound a little bit more. But nonetheless, they still won the game. So, I mean, it was a complete blowout. So obviously he didn't have to rebound a whole lot. But is he a fair play for today? Yeah, he is. We all know that Steph Curry is capable of putting up 55, 60 any given night. At 9,500, the next best thing is Rajon Rondo, which I've loved throughout the playoffs. He is projected to put in about 35, and Rondo is at 8,000. That's 1,500 less than Steph Curry. So if you wanted to get some value and you wanted to save some money off the top, you could fade away Curry and go with Rondo, who is the second best possible play here tonight. Then you have Chris Paul, but let's go over Rondo real quickly. Rondo has been pretty darn good, and also not only that, Rondo is also in one of the better spots. Like, I always have these best spot situations, and he's in a best spot, as I mentioned before in previous videos. Golden State has had their issues with point guards. So Rondo has actually given them 2 40-plus games. I usually look at the 40-plus or over, and they have had 10 games during the course of the year where they gave a big game points to point guards. So they have had the issues there, and they've had actually 2 here in the playoffs. So pretty much right now 12 during the course of this season. We know that Rondo is capable of bouncing back. We will have to scratch off what happened the other night. I believe that New Orleans, no matter what, they're playing in Golden State, they are going to come out. I really can't see New Orleans doing a Toronto Raptor thing. I mean, what the Raptors did against Cleveland is just, I can vent forever about how badly that team played and didn't show any heart, especially last night. And then just the horrific coaching by Coach Casey and how he managed his players and actually coached the game. was really, really, I mean, the worst I've seen in a while. So I mean, I don't expect that, and I don't expect New Orleans to walk in here at Golden State and just take a thumping. I think they're going to do everything they can to battle here. Will they win the game? They have a chance to. They have enough offensive weapons to get it done. And it starts with Rajon Rondo having a better game. So if Rondo shoots the ball better and they don't let themselves get too far off, trailing by too many points, there is a good chance that Rondo will have a decent game. 32 minutes in this last game, which is quite a bit, but he didn't shoot well, 2 of 10. He hasn't shot well in actually 2 straight games. But what he didn't do in this previous game, because it was a blowout, that he didn't do in the previous game before that, is that his assist total went considerably way down. I mean, he had 21 assists in the previous game, and then last game he only put up 6. So I mean, and only has 6 points, which we could live with. Rondo not scoring a whole lot of points, but he needs to rebound and assist and do those kind of things. So if he could be able to shoot the rock 40% or better and be able to actually get his assist total up over 12, 13, and then still be able to rebound, I think he's a very fine play at 8,000. You need 40 from him, and as you can see here, he has been pretty good throughout this series as well as in the playoffs. He could definitely hit 40, and we know he has an upside that he can get 55, 60 plus. All right, so Rajon Rondo is definitely in play, guys. I think he's definitely in play for tonight, and he is definitely in play with me. I will definitely have him in a few of my lineups. Chris Paul, next guy here in the point guards, 34.9. He's projected to have 35 points. His price tag is pretty up. I'd rather pay for Rondo than for Paul, even though Paul did well in his last game. But then again, it was a game that it was a little bit of a stretch out. It was a little bit of a blowout. He definitely shot the ball well. It was the one game that offensively he just took charge of offense and started shooting the ball a lot more. He had 23 shots. He shot 12 of 23. He didn't shoot well from the three-point range. But man, he did something really, really nice. I mean, he really went out there and started rebounding. 12 total rebounds in that game, 2 of them offensively. That's fantastic. On top of that, he had 2 steals and 1 block. He had a really good offensive all-around game for the Houston Rockets the other day. Is he in play? For me, yeah, I can see where I could probably grab Paul and Rondo, or Paul with someone with a low-value play, or Rondo. I think Rondo, to me, I'll pay 1,000 more. 1,000 less, and I'd rather go with Rondo. But Chris Paul is definitely in play, guys. Definitely someone to consider. His projection of 35 is not what I like to see when his price tag is 9, so that kind of throws me off a little bit. You need to get 45 from him, and they're projecting him to get 10 less than that. So that comes to show that not even Vegas or even not Vegas, but not so much the fantasy crunchers and the projector, the people that are doing all the projections are not expecting him to have that big of a game. But we do know he has 55 plus upside, so that's something to consider here. It's all about how much you want to save and how much you want to put forth. If you want to pay up to 9 or 9.5, I think that Curry has obviously more upside than Paul, so I will probably go with Curry and pay $500 more. Or you could definitely go with Rondo at $1,500 less than Curry, and I think he's a fine play. All right. Value plays here in the lower tier. I'm not on Livingston. Clark has had some interesting time on the floor. He's at 3,500. That is definitely a nice price for him. He's averaging more than 23 plus in the last 2 games. He's gotten the minutes, 24 and 22 respectively, and he's getting shots. 4-14 in the previous game. He shot horribly from three-point range, but if he can nail down half of those 3-pointers, he's going to be an awesome play for 3,500. I definitely like Ian Clark here. I think he's a fine play. Definitely someone you should consider as a value play. Mr. Nieto is going to get some time today, obviously. As we all know, Dante Exum is out for today's game, and on top of that, they don't have, of course, no rookie Rubio. So you could definitely see Mr. Nieto playing easily 20, maybe 25, maybe 25 plus. But he's definitely going to play more than 18 minutes tonight. They're going to need him to come out on the court a little bit more. 3 of 10 in the last game. He did take 10 shots, which is awesome. Only hit 30%. 2 of 3 from three-point range, which is awesome there. And then, of course, he had his assists. He had his rebounds. As long as he does that and he gets the minutes, I think he'll be a fine play at 3,500 if you want to save. I like Ian Clark better, But then again, Nieto is a fine play too. Cook got a little bit of time in the last game. I'm not on Cook at all, but I figure I mentioned he's a worthy mention. You never know if the game becomes an extended game, a little bit more of a blowout. Then you'll see some more time for Mr. Cook, and you never know. He might be a good value play at 3,500, but at 3,500, I'd rather go with Nieto for sure. That I know he's going to get 25 possible minutes, or Ian Clark will get 20 plus as far as minutes are concerned. So I'd rather go that route. All right. So those are the value plays for me today at point guard, Mr. Clark and Mr. Nieto. Shooting guard, we have Harden on top. He's projected to put up 45. His price is at 12.3, a little pricey. He's been having a little bit of his moments here. It's obvious, he is being defended very well, and it's becoming a little bit of a problem for him. I mean, he's not shooting the ball really particularly well, especially in the last game, 8 of 22. Took a lot of shots, but only hit 8 of them. His usage rate is through the roof, as we all know. He is the top dog there for the Rockets. He shot horribly from three-point range, 1 of 7. The previous game before that, he only shot 2 of 8, and the one before that, 2 of 10. So his three-point shots are not falling the way they were falling throughout the course of the early part of the playoffs, and as well as during the course of the season. But he is Harden. He's going to get a lot of assists. He gets a lot of little easy assists. He didn't have that in the last game. He only put up 3 assists in a win, but he had 8 big turnovers, which was really a shock. But if Utah can defend and really step it up and make him have these kind of mistakes and let someone else beat them as opposed to Harden, Utah will have a chance to win today and actually extend this game back and take it back to Utah for Game 6, which I would love. So we'll see what happens there. Harden is in play. I'm not in favor of playing him today. He's not LeBron. He hasn't been showing it. LeBron has been the king. I had LeBron yesterday in that series, and we know that it was going to be tough for me to pay 14.5 for LeBron, knowing that he had to put up at least 70 plus. He came very close. He put up 62 and change. I don't see Harden putting up 60-some here. Is he capable of it? Of course he is. He's one of the best players in the league offensively. If he starts nailing down those threes and he hits more of those shots from the floor and shoot at a 45% rate or better, yeah, he's going to put up 65, 70 with no problem. But right now, I think defensively, Utah is gonna really just be applying the defense on him. So it's going to be a tough go. It's a tough matchup for him, but I think he'll still get 40 to 45. Next guy in line here, Jrue Holiday. Definitely he needs to step up. He put a 35 spot in the last game. He did play 40 minutes. It was a blowout game. 8 of 16 from the floor, 1 of 4 from three-point range. We definitely need to see him do a little bit more rebounding. He had 7 rebounds, 3 assists, not too bad. He did all the other things that I like seeing Jrue Holiday do. He defend. He got some steals, got some blocks. Tough matchup for him because he has to deal. He's actually been defending Mr. Durant during the course of this playoffs. But I still like him. He's been one of my favorite players throughout the whole year. He's projected to put up 41. You need to get 40, about almost close to 45 for him. 40. You need 43, 44 from him. We know he's capable of it. It's going to be really tough. Between him and Mitchell being really, their prices have been really jacked up there, 88 and 89. But these guys have been close to value, so I wouldn't be mad at anyone here choosing Holiday or Mitchell. I think any one of those would be fine plays here. I would definitely fade Harden and go with Holiday or Mitchell if I had a choice right now off the top of my head. I would definitely go with either one of these two guys as my key shooting guard. Klay Thompson, definitely in play. They're projecting him for 31. He's 67. You need to get about 30. You need 33, 34 from Klay. He put up a 20 spot. Tough game for him. 5 of 13, 1 of 6 from 3. If he shoots a little bit better, obviously he'll be fine. We know he can get there, but he's a streaky shooter. He definitely needs to get open looks and be able to really nail down some threes, and then he'll start getting more feeds his way. He's getting the minutes, which we love. We want to see minutes as the DFS players. We want to see guys get minutes. We want to make sure that they're getting on the floor and getting opportunities. He just didn't take as many shots as he did in the last few days, but needing 33, 34, he's been there. He got a 41, 3 games back, a 34, just 2 games back. So we know he can get there. He's definitely a GPP play. So, and that's what I like to see. So, Klay Thompson in play today. Eric Gordon, not a bad play either. Didn't shoot well in the last game either. 3 of 10 and 1 of 6. Man, if he can shoot a little bit better, obviously, it's just you don't know what you're going to get, man. These matchups, Gordon should definitely be doing okay. I could always see Harden make it a little bit tougher on Harden. They have made adjustments with him, and that's the way you should do it. That's the same concept Mr. Casey should have had with LeBron James. Why not, I hate to get myself off track here, but why not put two, maybe even three, triple team LeBron a few times during the course of a game just to slow him up, and then put it in the hands of someone else and let someone else beat you instead of LeBron James. But Dwayne Casey didn't do that. But the coaching staff here has done that quite a bit with Harden, made it more difficult, put the best possible defender on him, and he's had some open looks, but he's also had a lot of shots that have been contested. So Eric Gordon is the one who should be getting some of those shots when he's being defended. If he does, he's definitely in fine play. At 5,000, I kind of like Alec Burke better at that lower range. He has not played well in the last two games. They were both losses, but he's going to get a little bit of an uptick in time here, obviously. With no Dante Exum, I could see Alec Burke getting more than 9 minutes in this game today, maybe even more than 18 minutes. We're definitely going to see an increase in minutes for Mr. O'Neal, so there's definitely a play there for O'Neal with Mr. Exum's departure. So these are guys you definitely want to consider. So I like Holiday and Mitchell here. Klay Thompson is a good play at 6,700, and for value, you can definitely either go with Gordon or Burks. Again, it's all preference. I would say right now my favorite play is I still want Donovan Mitchell. I mean, he's my boy. So I'm going to ride or die with him, and I definitely like Mr. Holiday. So one of those two would definitely be in my lineups. If I was to choose either one of them as far as lineup and as far as matchup is concerned, I would think that the best possible play here would be Mr. Mitchell, to be honest with you. So if you had to make a decision, I would say you go with Mitchell. Small forward, Durant in play. He's had a tough matchup. He has been defended by Holiday, who's done a very good job keeping him away from having monster games until his last game. 60 points in the last game, man. I mean, wow. But he had to shoot the rock 27 times from the floor. So that's a lot of shots. And I actually was surprised. They kept him in there even when the game was late and the game was pretty much a blowout. Holiday wasn't even out there defending him, and he was still shooting the rock. So that was a little disappointing. So he got some extra fantasy points there for those guys who had him in the previous game, and he played a few extra minutes for whatever reason he did. But he shot the ball well. He shot the ball well in game two. When he put up 60 also. Durant in play, I mean, his price has not even gone up a whole lot. Went from 10.6 to 10.4 and now 10.8. I mean, so you need about 54 from him, 53. I would say 53 points. And, man, he's hit 59 and 60. So he's definitely a good play today. He's capable. They have him projected at 46, which is below his price. But he has shown that he can get 50-plus. So I think he's good for 50-plus today. Joe Ingles, 27 projection, 27 fantasy points. He's at 6,300, so you need about 31, 32 from him. Man, he put 31 in the last game, but previous to that, 8.5 and 3.6. I don't know what to say about Ingles, man. He is in a good spot, too. I mean, these guys have had issues with small forwards throughout the year as well. I mean, he is obviously one of the better spot plays, but he hasn't shown it here. I mean, he put a 31 and a 30 in game 1 and 2, which is pretty much about where he should be at. And then he put a 31 in the last game. He had that 8.5. It was a horrible game. I mean, I think he needs to just get a few more shots, man. I mean, he did play 41 minutes in the last game, and surprisingly, he didn't put up better numbers. I mean, really, really surprised. But Joe Ingles, Houston has had their issues with them, which I've mentioned before in the previous matchups. They have given up 11 big games to small forwards, 40-plus or better, and he hasn't gone over that 40-plus. But he's still one of those guys that we know he's capable of getting there. Will he get there? I don't think he will. So I'm definitely fading on Ingles today, but he is in play for those. I think he could definitely get 30, 32, 33. I really do like Iguodala here. 35 and 37, 2 out of the last 3 games he's been, just crushing value. 29, 28, 34 minutes. I am very surprised on how well he's been playing and how well they have utilized Iguodala during the course of this series. So he has definitely been a fine player during the course of the playoffs in this particular series for the Golden State Warriors. I like him today at 4,900. You need about 24, 25 from him to hit value, and he has crushed value. He's crushed 24, 25 in 2 out of the last 3 games, and he had a 21 spot in game 1. So we know that he's capable of getting there. He's been getting the minutes. I would like to see him shoot a little bit more, but he's doing all the other things. The steals, look at this, 3, 2, 3, 1 block. And then he's not a fouler, so you're not going to have a problem with him. He's definitely a decent defender. Obviously, when you see personal fouls and that amount of minutes, and he has 2 or only 3 or 1 personal foul in a game, obviously he's doing something right defensively. So Iguodala is definitely in play for me today, guys. Definitely a fine play. Mr. Moore, also not a bad play. 21, 17, 22, 19, 27. If I'm going to choose either one of the two, I'm definitely going with Iguodala for $100 more. Why not? But Etuan Moore, what I like about them is that he definitely plays. He definitely gets minutes. His usage rate is not as high as Iguodala's, but he is actually getting just as many shots, 14, 11, and 13. Just barely 40, 45% or better, and Etuan Moore is going to be a heck of a play at 4,800. All right, guys, so definitely have him in consideration. If you don't want more at 4,800, definitely consider Iguodala. The best play here is this gentleman right here, Royce O'Neal. He is the best play here. Yep, the numbers don't look good here, but he's going to get an uptick in minutes today. I really believe he will. No Dante Exum, who has been one of their better defenders. O'Neal's going to have to step in and play a few more minutes. I see him easily going over 30. Hopefully that will transfer over to more shots and, of course, more opportunities for us to get fantasy points from Mr. O'Neal. I like him here at 4,400, no different than Iguodala. I definitely like Iguodala better, but I think if you wanted to save $500, O'Neal is a good play because I really truly believe he's going to get a few more minutes on the court, and he's going to have to make a difference offensively. He's going to have to take some shots, and he's going to have to help out Donovan Mitchell offensively. They haven't projected at 19, but I think he's definitely a fine play there, guys, as far as a value play. Ariza and Tucker are the only ones left I want to discuss here, and if I'm going to choose either one of these two, I'm not on Ariza. They're the same price. We'll take a quick look at Ariza, but Ariza hasn't been consistent. 3 out of these 4 games in this series, he's not played well at all, and he's getting sufficient minutes. Look at his usage, less than 10%, less than 7 here. He's taking very minimal shots. He's not getting as open. Obviously, Paul and of course Capella and Harden are taking the bulk of the shots. Ariza was really a big part of this offense during the course of the season, but I noticed in the playoffs he hasn't been as much. But this gentleman here, Tucker, has been, and he's been playing well enough that he's getting more shots, and he's actually putting up the best fantasy points for us fantasy point players. 23, 24 pretty much here, 30 and 25. And look at the minutes in those games, 35, 33, 35. I like him a little bit better. He's just getting a few more things more done. He's getting some more cleaner shots, and he's hitting them. He's a little more wide open on his shots. He loves hitting those corner baseline shots. And on top of that, his rebounding has picked up. He has 7, 5, and 10 over the last 3 games. And he's done his little blocks. As you can see in last game, he had 1. And the other thing about him, he's one of their best defenders as well. He barely ever is in foul trouble, so that means he definitely defends well. If he's able to stay on the floor for 35 minutes, like I said before, that means he's a pretty decent defender. All right, guys, so that's pretty much it there. I like Tucker as the value play there, and I like Mr. O'Neal. If you go a little bit higher up, definitely Iguodala is in play, and other than that, the best play would be Durant. I don't see no reason why anybody should not take Durant at 10-8. He could easily smash that. He has definitely the high ceiling. He can get you 65 plus. So why not take a chance on Mr. Durant? Power forward, Anthony Davis definitely in play. Best play here. He's projected to put 57. His price is 12.8. So you definitely need about 56, 57 from him, and that's pretty much where he's at. And let's see where he has done. He did have a poor game, 44. Pretty much 45 fantasy points, but he did have a 70 spot, 63, 68 during the course of the playoffs, so we know he is capable of getting there. He needs to not only play the minutes he's been playing, but he definitely needs to take down the shots. The shots have to go down better for him. If he can do that, he'll definitely hit 60, 65 easy here today. I love him. I'm more than likely going to have him in one of my lineups. I would prefer Davis over Harden today, and I would prefer if you're going to go with the top 3 studs, then definitely Davis with Durant would be a good play, or just taking Durant. Because the next gentleman here in line, Draymond Green, is definitely one of my favorite plays here at power forward in this slate. Draymond Green has been really fantastic during the course of the playoffs. Look at all these days, all these games where he has crushed value. 43, 42, 49, 62, 56. He had a little dud here, 31, but 47 spot in the last game, 37, 36, 41 minutes in the last 3 games. He doesn't take a ton of shots, but you know what Draymond does. He rebounds, he assists, he gets steals, he gets blocks. Look at this is why he got 47. Look at this. 2 blocks, 4 steals, 9 assists, 9 rebounds. Man, it's crazy. He almost had a triple-double, and he could have had a triple-double with just tens. 10 points. So, yeah, he only needed 1 more basket, 1 more assist, and 1 more rebound. He would have had a 10-10-10 triple-double. Okay? That's the thing about Draymond. That's what I like. And I've had him pretty much on most of my lineups throughout this series because this is a perfect spot for Draymond Green, which I mentioned in previous videos. Draymond Green, he is facing a team that has given up 13 big games of 40 or 45 plus fantasy points during the course of the season. And as you can see, he has already done that to them 3 times already out of the 4 games. And that puts that, if you want to tally that, that's 16 now big games, and 3 of them to Draymond Green. So he is in a perfect spot. Definitely the best play here other than Anthony Davis. We go down, Mr. Marichek, definitely in play as well. He hasn't done well in the last 3 games, just barely making value the last 2, but definitely still in play, 32, 34, 39 because of the minutes. He's got to hit his shots. If he nails down his threes, 1 of 7 and missing both shots from 3 obviously took him off. But this game started like really getting out of their hands. They started really losing control of this game early, and he never really got in rhythm. If he can get in rhythm and they can stay close early, then Marichek will definitely have a better game like he did in game 3 and in game 2, where he at least was able to get 12 to 16 shots off from the floor, and he was able to get 5 to 8 shots off from 3-point range. 7,200, you need about 36, 37 from him. We know he's capable of doing it. He's been close to that range. Do I want to pay for him? Maybe not necessarily so, because you got Joe Crowder here, who's I consider cheap at 5,000 compared to Marichek. That's 2,200 less, and we know that he's capable of putting 40 plus for that price. So sometimes you just got to take a stab at a big GPP play like a Crowder and be able to ride him, and then maybe to grab a Davis or a Green as your top as your top 4 in this slate. We'll go right now to Crowder. Definitely someone I like. 23-17, 27-32. He had 2 outstanding games in game 1 and 2. Didn't play as well or didn't come up to par as far as fantasy points in game 4 and 3. But he's getting sufficient minutes, 31, 33, 34, 25, 34. He just got to hit the shots, man. He was 1 of 11 and 1 of 7 in the last game, 5 total points, but he did get 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and he did work his butt off by getting some steals and some blocks. If he can continue to do that, and he's not a fouler, so that's good. He's a pretty decent defender. We definitely need him to nail down these shots. If these shots fall today, it's a totally different ballgame. Like I said before, he is capable of putting up 43, as you can see here, which he did against OKC. So he has to hit his shots. And like I said, GPP play, perfect guy to do it. At 5,000, you need 25, and obviously we know he can get better than 25. So Joe Crowder is the best play here as a value play, even though he's at 5. He's not necessarily in the 4s. Down here, anybody else? I'm not on anybody else. Ryan hasn't been playing. Delilo, Jerbico, he's got a little bit of time. If you really want to save a whole lot and squeeze him in there, hey, you know what? He may surprise you. He gets 14 to 15 minutes in the last 2 games, but they both were losses, and they both games got a little bit ahead, a little bit apart for these guys, and that's one of the reasons why he got on the floor. Foul troubles by, favors and so on and so forth, put him in a position to come out on the floor. So a big game like this, I mean, the long as everybody's clean, I could say Favors as well as Crowder are going to get more of the time on the floor. So another guy that could be a little sneaky play here is Bamute. 13 and 9 and 12. You're not going to get a whole lot from him, but he's getting some minutes, 16, 12, and 16. If he could just put down a few shots, could he get you value? He probably can. He can get you 5x, that's 15. I'm not for him, but I'm just trying to give you guys, if you wanted to go cheap and then really stack up on some studs, then you could probably go with him. He's at 3,000. And like I said, you can go with Jerbico at 2,000, and you might be able to get something out of that as well. We go right to center. I only have two guys here on my pool. Obviously, it's the only two guys. Obviously, I'm going to squeeze some lineups with Gorbert. He's pretty consistent as far as being in the in the 30, 31.32 range. We know he has upside to get up as high as almost 47, 48 at least over the course of these playoffs. I'm going to have him in a few lineups. I'm going to be totally honest with you, just to be able to get value somewhere else. Obviously, the price of Mr. Capella has been going up, but Mr. Capella continues to go up in value simply because he's putting up the fantasy points. 37 minutes in the previous game, 30, 31, 35, 33. He's been playing pretty much 31 minutes plus over the course of the 5-6 games or more in the playoffs. He's getting anywhere between 8 to 15 shots, as you can see here, over the course of the last 4 or 5 games. And he's been rebounding, man. And he gets a lot of easy shots, as we've discussed before. He has these fine passes in Paul and in Harden. So it definitely helps him out. All right, guys. So, again, that's pretty much it, man. I mean, I'm on Capella. At power forward, I love Davis and Green here. Value play here. Definitely a cheaper option you may have is Crowder. Looney might be a nice little fine play too, if you want to get some value. And I would say buy Mute. Small forward, love Durant in this spot. Not too much on Angles, but knowing me and my luck, I don't choose Angles today in one of my lineups, and he goes off. It can happen. He has those moments. I definitely like Iguodala here, and I definitely like more in O'Neal for Utah. For O'Neal for Utah and more for New Orleans. And then a really nice value play here will also be Mr. P.J. Tucker. I'm not on Green or Miller. Those are definite options for you there if you want to save even more. Shooting guard, I'm not on Harden. I'm fading Harden for sure today. I'm not going to have him in my lineups. Definitely like Holiday and Mitchell more, and I can see myself having some Thompson and maybe Mr. Burks in some of my lineups. If you want to go low value, definitely Alec Burks will be a good play simply because we know that Mr. Exum is out, as well as Rubio. They're going to need to find some time on the floor. It's going to be Mr. Burks and O'Neal. I think is going to get a little bit more time. We go to power point guard again. Curry is a fine play. Rondo and Paul. Obviously, I like Rondo the best at 8,000. Save myself 1,500 from Curry, or save myself 1,000 from Paul. And then if you're going to go low value, definitely Ian Clark is a fine play at 3,500. And you're going to see a lot of, he might be chalky. Mr. Raul Nieto, he's going to definitely get some more time on the floor today as well due to the injuries to Rubio and Exum. And that's pretty much it. As far as stacks, I mentioned this before during the course of this series. When it comes to stacking these players, I like when it comes to the Houston Rockets, you can go with Paul, obviously, and Harden, but I like Harden with Capella every time they're on the floor. I think that's the best combo there. And then when you think of Utah, right now, I would say definitely Donovan Mitchell with it's really tough because without Rubio, I really love Rubio with Donovan Mitchell, as we all know. But I would say Donovan with Gorbert if you wanted to pair up some guys, if you wanted to stack some guys from Utah. You can also throw in there Royce O'Neal if you want to do a triple play there, because we know O'Neal's going to have a little bit more time on the floor. So it could be a Mitchell O'Neal, maybe Gorbert, or Mitchell O'Neal with Crowder. That wouldn't be a bad triple play for Utah. And then New Orleans, Golden State for New Orleans, the Pelicans. Obviously, I love Rondo with Holiday and Davis as a triple play. And then if you're going to just do a double play, definitely Rondo with Mr. Davis would be probably the best double play. And Golden State, really like Durant with Curry or Durant with Draymond Green. And if you're going to do a triple play there, definitely you can go Steph, Durant, and Green. And that's pretty much it. And that's like kind of like standard. I think that's the best play. And I'd say that the best game to target obviously is the New Orleans Golden State, simply because it's going to be the highest scoring. And that's pretty much it, guys. So I wish everybody luck. I hope you liked the video. I hope I gave you some insight. I hope I was able to give you, some idea, some direction on where to go. And as soon as we go into these single games, I'm going to actually do the lineup, the 5 players. I'm going to play it, even though I don't like those GPPs with just one game in a slate. But when we have these one-game slates, like I mentioned before, I will be I will be making a lineup right on the video, and maybe 2 or 3 lineups like I did the last time, something like that, just to give some people some help and just to keep the videos going until the season's over. And like I said, when the season's over, or when it's pretty much wrapping up, I guess pretty much by the time we finish and we get into like the finals and we know the 2 teams that are left, I think at that point I'm going to be targeting my videos more so to MLB, which right now, the MLB season has already picked up, and it's teams already played about 40 games or so, almost 45 games, so I really got to get it going there. And that's basically it, man. That's basically it. I wish everybody a lot of luck. Enjoy tonight's games. Let's go Utah and let's go New Orleans. I really want them to keep going, because I like those 2 teams. They were the 2 teams that I was hoping for the surprise in the West, and I still have the Sixers going in the East, which was the team that I was most in favor of. And hopefully the Sixers could keep it going, but also it keeps us DFS players playing 2-game slates. So if these guys hang in there, we'll be able to get I would love to get a couple more chances to try to win these GPPs, man. So again, good luck tonight. God bless. Your boy Manny is out. Oh, and before I go, always drop a like. If you haven't subscribed haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe down below. Don't forget, and don't forget to turn on the notifications. This way you do not miss any of the new uploads. I will try to upload pretty much every day. So, and that's basically it, man. Everybody, enjoy the night. God bless, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.